you. Let the dawn of a new day bring understanding and love. Oh, inside. Thank you, guys. Inside. I see you. Oh, God's favorite. You share my birth month. I'm also October, but mine is October 15. So I see. Double celebration for us in October. Thank you so much. God bless you. Wow, 1st of October. It's good to know. Yes, guys, welcome to Insight with FunmiRoyal. It's another Monday, the first Monday in the month of August. Happy new month to you. In case you didn't see some of my videos, wishing you guys a happy August. It's amazing, you know, the time is just going months after months, you know, going by. We just have to, you know, give thanks to God because we know a lot is happening in the world today. But we're still here, we're alive and well. It's enough to say thank you, Lord, for looking out for me. Thank you, Lord, for looking out for towards all of us. Our going out and our coming in, you know. I went to see my mechanic today and I saw his car. I'm still in shock. I'm like, are you sure you drove this car? Because it parked in the garage and I saw like the whole of the front was gone. The airbag was out. And I'm like, it's you who drove. Said yes. I said, you know what? Thank God for life that you're still here. Imagine I'd gone there and they're like, oh, this person passed away or something. You will be like, God. Seeing that car alone, I just had to thank God. Because we drive, some of us will drive in and out all the time. We think it's by our maybe knowing how to drive well that we're okay. But it's the grace of God has been keeping all of us. Benjamin, thanks for joining. So guys, welcome once again to Insight with FunmiRoyal this lovely Monday evening. Yes, I think some people came around 6 o'clock because I usually would do this 6 o'clock. But because of so many things, pushing things here and there, logistics and all of that, you know, just decided, and for your sake as well, because some people are at work, they can't talk. I know some might still be at work. So all of that, I just said, you know what, let's just push it till 8 o'clock. So from today, 5th of August, Insight will be coming your way every 8 o'clock UK time, 8 p.m. UK time. And on Thursdays as well, it's moved to 8 p.m. UK time so that I can see your beautiful faces. I can, you know, bring you guys up and we'll talk some more about all these issues we're bringing on board. Team Charlie, thanks for joining. Please help share the live to as many people as possible. Let them be part of this live today. Adwoa, cute, I see you. Thanks for joining. So my topic today, if you can see on the screen, is guilt. You might be wondering why this topic. Yeah, why not? Guilt, let's talk about it. And as you know, as I bring my talk, I like to break things down. And most importantly, when I do the talk, we kind of self-reflect, because I also do that even though I'm the one giving the talk. Self-reflect. How has this guilt I'm going to talk about played a major role, minor role in your life? Is it affecting you now? And I'm just going to look at different aspects to it. I need us to, you know, check ourselves, because sometimes we carry this guilt, in fact, for no reason. Most times we carry it on ourselves. Not that somebody's pointing to you, you're guilty or you're guilty, but we carry it, we play things out, we allow it to affect us. When we do good, we still feel guilty. When we don't do good, we feel guilty. Why, guys? We need to give ourselves some break, time out. So I'm going to be looking at this topic today, guilt. So it's a complex topic because, you know, extreme of it could really affect people's mental health, their mental well-being. For me, Juice Lovia, thanks for joining. Please help share this live to as many people as possible. Thank you so much, God's favorite, for liking the live, and welcome. So it's a very complex and sometimes misunderstood emotion that we feel as human beings. Maybe one point in time in your life experiences, you may have felt guilty. You know, it may have been justified, it may not have been justified, but let's break it down so that we don't carry guilt unnecessarily Or maybe when we're supposed to feel guilty, we're not feeling guilt. Something is wrong as well. So we need to look at it. It's a bit of... Oh, thank you so much. I think there's a goal reached already. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so... Oh, my goodness. God's favorite. God bless you. Thank you so much. Mrs. Ajayi, thanks for joining. Blacko, I see you. So guilt is a powerful feeling that can influence our thoughts, the way we think, the way we behave, and also it can affect, our relationship. It can influence our relationship, what we put into that relationship or what we don't put into that relationship. So I'm going to be breaking it down some more. Guilt serves as an internal moral compass. Well, supposed to serve as that for everyone. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Guiding us to recognize and correct our mistakes, because no man is perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. So we'll make mistakes from time to time. Of course, when you make such mistakes, you feel guilty, especially when it's not a positive thing. You will feel guilty. However, that should not be the end of you, so to say. And it can also become so overwhelming and can be destructive if not managed properly. I mean, as a counselor, I've had times with that number when clients will walk through that door and then they will start talking in the space and all of that. Oh, I feel guilty about this. And what they've explained to me, they've just done something good, but they're feeling guilty. And I'm like, how does that play about? And by the time they talk and talk, so we have to help them, break the whole thing down, let them see that this guilt you're carrying is you telling yourself you're feeling guilty. Nobody has accused you of anything. And what you have done, do you think is a good thing or a bad thing? They say, oh, I think it's a good thing. So why are you feeling guilty? Some people may feel guilty because they're not getting the outcome. Say, for example, you've done something good for someone. Instead of them appreciating the good you've done, they're blaming you. Did I ask you to do this? Why did you? And then they start feeling guilty. So you can understand where I'm coming from. So in this talk today, we're going to explore the nature of guilt, its causes and effects, and also strategies for coping with and transforming guilt into a positive action. Because if you don't deal with it adequately, it might just affect your mental well-being, like I've said. And we don't want that. We won't be able to function properly, whether at home, in the society, or at work. So we need to know how to deal with it. So the first thing I want us to look at is the nature of guilt. The nature of guilt. Guilt, like I said, is an emotional response that arises when we believe we have violated a moral standard or harmed someone. When we think we have violated a moral standard or we have harmed someone. So it could either be one of the two or even more. But I'll leave it to that at the minute. So maybe when you guys come up, you can share this further. Chris, I see you. Thanks for joining. And again, it can be a healthy emotion that prompts us to reflect on our actions and make amends. Say you've done something wrong and you're just going about and something is telling you you should be guilty. You should feel that guilt within you because of what you've done. Maybe whatever you've done, whoever you've done it to, they're not happy. They're crossed with you and you're just going about your normal day. And then you see them, they're wearing this sad face. And you just, something in you makes you feel guilty, like something is wrong. Or sometimes all it takes is just to apologize to the person and that feeling of guilt might just leave. But we need to know when that guilt comes and what to do with it. We don't just abandon it and start feeling, all way down and all of that. So it can be a healthy emotion that prompts us to reflect on our actions and make amends. However, guilt can also be unhealthy if it becomes excessive or irrational. That is a thin line. There is a thin line where we cross it to the other side. It can become excessive. It can become irrational. And how healthy is your daily living when you're like that? So I'll talk about the two kinds of guilt. I mean, there's so many ways you can break it down, but I'm just going to look at the healthy guilt and unhealthy guilt so we can have an understanding of where I'm coming from. So the healthy guilt, this type of guilt helps us to maintain social harmony and personal integrity. So it encourages us to apologize, to make reparations, and avoid repeating harmful behaviors. So it's kind of in there to check us and to help us. Oh, Mila for Christ, thanks for joining. I see you're taking notes already. So this is a healthy kind of guilt because it's there to check us, to check our conscience, to help us, know this is time to apologize, to help us to know we need to make amends, and to help us not to repeat such a thing again, because it may just be a harmful behavior. And when people start noticing that a lot from you, they would avoid you. And you don't want people avoiding you, do we? No, we don't want that. So that's just a nutshell about the healthy guilt. So let's look at the unhealthy guilt. Yeah, unhealthy one. So when guilt is disproportionate, you're feeling that guilt and it's disproportionate to the situation, or when we blame ourselves for things beyond our control, then it becomes unhealthy. It becomes unhealthy. You wish well for people around you. You try your best, to make sure they're okay and all, but they're not just getting it. And then you start feeling guilty. Maybe you're not doing enough. Maybe this, maybe that. Please, that is not a healthy guilt. No, no, no. It's just beyond your control. No matter what you do, they're not going to appreciate you. So deal with it, live with that, and be okay. Otherwise, it becomes an unhealthy guilt. So this type of guilt can lead to chronic stress, because you're constantly stressed, because you're constantly thinking, how can you please this person, or how can you do to, so it's not healthy at all. It can cause chronic stress if not handled properly. It can even cause anxiety. When you hear that person's name, your heart jumps. You're like, start breathing heavy and all of that. And it also can cause a negative self-image for you. You're just, the way you're feeling guilty, jumpy all the time, people just look at you as something is wrong with this person, not knowing that you're just trying to make sure that this person is okay and all of that. So we don't want that unhealthy kind of guilt in our lives. It's not a good one at all. I don't want to have chronic stress just because, and I'm sure you don't want to have that as well. So let's look at what causes guilt. Yeah, let's look at that. At least we know what a healthy guilt is and an unhealthy one. So what do we think causes guilt? Guilt can arise from various sources, which include personal action. Wami, you're welcome. Idemo, I see you. Thanks for joining. So when we believe our actions have caused harm or violated our values, guilt is a natural response. So this can include lying. When you lie, sometimes instantly you feel guilty. Hey, you just told a lie, Even if you're in denial, your conscience will tell you you've just told a lie. Again, cheating. Somebody catches you cheating and you still lied your way out of cheating, or failing to fulfill responsibilities. And then maybe somebody asks you, why did you not do this? This is your responsibility. And then you come up with all sort of excuses. You're feeling that guilt. That is meant for you to achieve or to do, accomplish. And then, you're feeling guilty, but then you're in denial. You're just trying to force your way out of that situation. So it's not. Your personal actions can be a cause of guilt. Then again, unmet expectation can cause guilt. You have this expectation. We may feel guilty when we fail to meet our own or other people's expectation of us. Sometimes when you've done something wrong, the first thing that will come out of whoever catches you will say, I expected really, really highly behavior from you, or things like that. Oh my God, that just, breaks us down. When somebody says it out loud, you might be in self-denial, but when you now hear somebody saying it to your face, my goodness. So we may feel guilty when we don't meet others' expectations or our own expectations as well. And this can happen in personal relationships, in professional settings, or even in our self-improvement goals. You might say to yourself, you've given yourself, for example, I need to lose weight. And I say to myself, okay, I've booked the gym, I've, written out my diets and all of that. And then I'm like, it's good once in a while to indulge. And then first day I'm indulging, no gym, no exercise, no nothing. Second day, again, I'm still indulging. By the weekend, I climb on that way to see how much I know. I mean, climbing on there, I'm wasting my time. I feel guilty because I know I haven't put in the effort. I know I've not done what I'm supposed to do. And this is supposed to be my self-improvement, but I failed myself, so to say. I feel guilty about it. And of course, the next thing is, how can I do better? You have to stay away. That means self-discipline, and all of that can come in. So another cause of guilt is survival guilt. So this kind of guilt occurs when someone survives a traumatic event while others did not. I tell you a story. I think this one happened to my husband many, many years back when we were in Africa. He was meant to travel from one state to another, and then there was this bus or so because he was going by public transport. He was supposed to travel, and for whatever reason, I think he sat in the front, of the bus, and then the people in the front, they were just making trouble. And he's like, he was telling, no, I lie actually. He said, nah, it's good to remember your stories right. He said the bus was taking so long to be filled, and because he was in a hurry for them to, to go, he said to the driver, how many more seats? I'm going to pay for it. Let's just go. And then the driver said, oh, maybe 2-3 more seats. He said, don't worry, I'll pay for this. Let's just go. And the driver said, oh God, no. We have to wait for this bus to be full. Otherwise, But these people, they're not thinking in terms of the money. They just want the bus to be full before they leave. And then he felt it was taking too long. So he just dropped off that bus and tried to maybe catch a taxi somehow. And then he said, of course, his own car eventually came from behind. And this bus eventually got filled and off they went traveling. Of course, he was going to the same road, the same journey. And he said when it was barely 5 minutes, his car met with this bus, this so-called bus he was in. And they had an accident. And a lot of people had died already, people bleeding and all of that. And he felt so guilty. You can imagine that kind of a guilt. He survived. Somehow God miraculously worked it that he came off that bus. If he was still on that bus, only God knows. I won't be bearing his surname now. Probably, that's it. But thank God for his grace, his protection. But he felt guilty seeing that accident. Imagine the shock. So this occurs when someone survives a traumatic event whilst others did not. So survivors may feel they need to, they did not deserve to survive, or that they could have done more to help others. But what could he have done? That was beyond his control. He wasn't the one driving. He was meant to even be a passenger on there, but eventually he didn't become one passenger, on that particular bus. And of course, the guilt will tear him apart, all sorts going on in his mind. So sometimes we do have that, a survival guilt. But like I said, all of this guilt, if not adequately dealt with, can be negative in our lives. So we don't want that, do we? Then another kind of guilt is inherited guilt. Inherited guilt. Yeah, I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So sometimes we carry guilt passed down through generations from our cultural or societal pressures. So this can include feeling guilty for privileges we didn't earn, for historical injustice. Well, to break it down in a nutshell, imagine your great-grandfather was a very influential man in the society. Once they hear that name, in fact, if you're gone to somewhere and they refused you, the moment you enter again and say, do you know who I am? I'm the grandson or granddaughter of so person, you call their name. They'll just, yes sir, come this way. And the way they'll start treating you, that's the good one though. So, but inherited guilt, imagine if your forefathers had done something bad. The moment you mention the name, they say, oh my goodness, this is the son or the daughter of so person. Nobody wants to have anything to do with you. And then when they now say some things to your hearing, you will feel guilty, but you didn't do anything. It was your forefathers or your grandparents, but you also carrying this guilt because you've inherited it because of your name. I know of people who have changed their surname even for a man just because they don't want to be associated with that, that name, because the reputation of that name is being spoiled from generations beyond them and it's out of their control. And the moment they change their surname, they go about life. Nobody knows because the new surname has nothing to do with the old surname, and then they're able to live life. I'm not saying, change your surname only if you're led to do that, but I'm just giving that as an example. So sometimes it gets you some good privileges so you don't feel guilty, but some feel guilty because of what has been passed down. So this one can cover the historical injustice your forefathers have involved themselves in, and now is affecting you as a third or fourth generation. So that can happen, that can cause guilt as well. So what are the effects of this kind of guilt? All of this guilt, what are the effects? Guilt can have both positive and negative effects on our lives, and we need to be able to identify that so that we know what to do. And like I said previously, trying to explain the healthy guilt, the unhealthy one, we need to be able to identify. So as you're listening to me, guys, let us kind of self-reflect ourselves by ourselves. I will tell myself the truth. If I lie to you, lie to every single person. I can't lie to myself. I know the truth, so to say. So effects of guilt. One is positive effect. When you're feeling guilty, it may be a positive effect, meaning promotes accountability. Healthy guilt encourages us to take responsibilities for our actions and make amends. So this is a positive effect on you. It helps you to rethink, oh my goodness, this thing I've just done, I feel so guilty because of this, because of that. What can I do to rectify the situation? And you think, you're creative, think about how you can make amends. That is a positive effect of guilt on us. Then it fosters empathy. Feeling guilty for hurting someone can enhance our empathy and understanding of others' feelings. You feel guilty because you can see from whoever it is, their reaction, that they're not happy with you. So you have to feel empathy for them. What are they feeling by my actions? Obviously, it's not a good thing. So why not you make amends as well? So when you're able to think to yourself, reflect on it, and feel that empathy towards that person, and then you make amends. That is good. That is a good effect of guilt. And another one is it guides ethical behavior. Guilt helps us to adhere to moral values and societal norms, promoting ethical behavior. You know that this thing you're about to do, in fact, the gods of the land have forbidden it, so to say. And it kind of helps you check yourself from time to time. Thank you so much, Mary. You're welcome. Gunter, I see you. So guides ethical behavior. When this happens, it guides you to do better, to have morals and all of that. That is a good effect of guilt. However, it's good to always balance things on here on Insight. The negative effects of guilt, I'll tell us in a moment. The promise, the future, and life. Thank you so much for liking the live. Thank you, guys. Let's share the live. Let's share to friends. Let them be part of this talk, so they're not living, unhealthy, guilty life. Thank you, guys. Blessing, I see you. So guys, the topic today, if you're just joining, is guilt. I've explained what guilt is. I've talked about the causes of guilt. I've talked about the types of guilt, the healthy guilt and the non-healthy one. So I've talked about the positive effects of guilt. Oh, thank you so much. And now I want to look at the negative effects of guilt. So this one is crucial. Please let us listen so we can think deeply about it and do a bit of reflection. And then if we need to make amends, it's never too late. Not making amends at all, makes things worse. So we can check and see what we need to do in various relationships to find ourselves. Jane, I see you, welcome. So the negative effect is first emotional distress. So excessive guilt can lead to feelings of worthlessness, anxiety, and depression. I'm telling you, I remembered one client that I had months back, and she came, it's like almost every session they would weep and cry and they're just feeling guilty. And then when we broke it all down, why this feel of guilt? It's not even what she has done, it's what her child has done, and she's feeling guilty. like she knows she's trained this child in the best way possible, but this is what they've gotten themselves into. That's why I said, look, certain things are beyond your control. Good evening, Lady Bless, you're welcome. So emotional distress. She was emotionally distressed, I must tell you. She was anxious. She was even on medication for depression and things. It was really bad because she cannot, her brain, her mind cannot fathom, like, I brought this child up in the very best way, but this is what has happened, and this is the consequences of what is, what they've done. And we had to help, and she was always anxious. Every time she's coming for session, she's always anxious, like, but it was what it was, and we're able to manage it for as long as possible, So emotional distress, which can cause depression as well, anxiety, feeling of worthlessness, like you've done your very best, but the outcome is still not, that is a negative effect on someone. Then impaired relationship. So unresolved guilt can create distance and tension in relationships, as individuals may withdraw or become overly apologetic. You've done something bad, you're still in that relationship, you think they will look at you in a funny way moving forward. You just feel all sort of negativity in that relationship. You think, oh, because of what you've done, they've kind of withdrew from you. When you're trying to reach them, they're too busy. This, all sort of negativity keeps coming up, and it's endless. But you have to put a stop to it. Otherwise, you will see negative, even if you choose not to. Do you understand? That happens. So every little thing, I'm sorry. And the I'm sorry now becomes worthless. Like when you say I'm sorry, it's like it doesn't even mean anything, because truly, are you really sorry? All the time for any little thing you feel sorry. So those are the effects of negative kind of guilt that we'll feel. So those are the negative effects. We need to be mindful. I'm still going to come to what we need to do as well. So again, the negative effect of guilt is decreased self-esteem. Yes, Francesca, thanks for joining. So chronic guilt can erode self-confidence and create a negative image, a negative self-image, because you feel bad, you feel guilty, you now lose confidence. Places where you will walk shoulder high before, because you feel guilty within you for whatever it is you've done. You feel everybody's judging you. The negative effect of that thing, of that action, is just weighing you down. It's like you've lost your self-image. All this negativity keeps piling up because you feel that guilt. So you need to please take it easy on yourself. It's not the end of the world. If you have to make amends, like I said, please make amends such that you don't carry that weight of guilt all about. Thank you so much. Thank you for liking the live. So how do we cope with guilt? Guys, how do we cope with guilt? So managing guilt effectively involves recognizing it. That's why I said don't be in denial, because it will not go away. It will keep troubling your heart. You want to sleep, you can't sleep. You're feeling guilty, you can't sleep. You're overthinking, you're over processing and all of that. So understanding its source, you need to know, where is this guilt coming from? In case you're feeling guilty, but you don't know why you're feeling guilty. And that's why I say you need to self-reflect. You have to tell yourself the truth. Get that space for you and yourself to have this conversation. Otherwise, this guilt will eat you raw, and you don't want that. So you need to understand, where is this guilt coming from? Identify it and taking appropriate steps to address it. Don't just identify it and just leave it as such. You need to do something about it. Otherwise, that feeling is not going to go away. So here are some strategies to coping with guilt. The first thing, like I said, is acknowledge and accept it. Acknowledge the guilt, accept the guilt, because like I said, it's not going anywhere. I agree. Check the Genesis. Oh yeah, you have to accept it. So recognize your feelings of guilt without judgment. Without judgment. You're trying to process this as positively as possible. So don't feel you have to condemn yourself in order to process it appropriately. No. So accept that it's a natural emotion and a sign that something needs attention. So you don't deny it. So you don't ignore it. So you don't push it aside, but you have to face it head on. Like I said, it's an emotion, it's a feeling, it's not going to go away unless you address and deal with it. And again, the second strategy, maybe I'll put it that way, strategy to coping with guilt is understand the source. Reflect on the cause of your guilt. Like I said, when you're processing it, these are things you need to reflect on. Reflect on the causes of your guilt. Determine whether it is based on realistic expectations and whether it's something you can change or influence. Whether it is something you can change or influence. It may not be within your capacity to do anything about it, but doesn't mean you should still ignore it. You still have to attend to it. And you have to say to yourself, you know what? You've understood where it came from. You've thought about it. You've made amends. You have to let it go. You have to let it go. Even if you have wronged someone and you're carrying that guilt and you've done everything humanly possible to make amends with this person, does not guarantee they would forgive you. It doesn't guarantee that they're going to understand with you. But you have to be okay with that reaction from them because you cannot control how they will feel. Musa Grace, thanks for joining. So the third thing is make amends. Like I said, don't just identify the source. Don't just, accept it. Sometimes you have to make amends. If your guilt stems from harming someone, take steps to make amends. Apologize sincerely. You and I know that there's some apologies. Even you say, is that an apology? But you just be quiet and be looking at this person. Oh, you've done something. Okay, sorry. Sorry. With all those body language, body attitude, behavior, and what have you. I won't accept that. Mickey, Wheezy, thanks for joining. So it has to be, if you had to apologize, let it be sincere, let it be honest. Offer reparations where possible and commit to changing your behavior. Because if you keep saying that, you go sincerely to say, I'm sorry and all, and they accept, they forgive you, and then in 2 months' time, you do the same thing again, and you're coming back to say, I'm sorry. By the third time, they will not count you as a serious person. They'll just think you're playing on their intelligence. So we need to be mindful. Once we make that reparation, make sure that it's something you don't engage in again. Otherwise, it will strain that relationship, or you can even lose that relationship altogether. So we need to be careful. Another one is practice self-compassion, so you don't feel overly guilty for every single thing you do wrong, or you even do right in some cases. Treat yourself with kindness, the same kindness you will offer a friend when they've done something, bad, and they feel guilty and they've come to apologize and you easily forgive them. But now it's you find it hard to forgive yourself. Why? Acknowledge that everyone makes mistakes and that you are worthy of forgiveness and understanding. So if you can't even forgive yourself, what more are you expecting from the other person? Somebody has said, okay, I hear you, I've forgiven you, you're sorry, it's okay, it's all right, I understand, let's move forward. And then you still leave that space and you're still carrying the guilt, you're feeling all of that. No, just forgive yourself, okay? Let it go and trust in your heart that they mean what they've said. They accept your apology and they have truly forgiven you. So please forgive yourself so you can move on. Understand with yourself, if I may say that. Then again, another one is challenge irrational guilt. You need to challenge some irrational guilt because not everyone around you may see that you're carrying this irrational guilt. So you have to accept that and ask yourself, why are you feeling this way? So if your guilt is disproportionate or is irrational, challenge these thoughts. Why? You're feeling somewhat guilty, but why? It sounds kind of irrational, but why? You need to ask these questions and you can tell yourself the truth. Femi, thanks for joining. Consider talking to a therapist if need be, so you can gain perspective and develop healthier thought patterns. Because sometimes that guilt feeling is there. It may sound irrational, you can't explain it, but you feel it. And if it's becoming so overwhelming, it's becoming stressful, it's becoming all of those negativity, you can seek professional help. Please, there's nothing to be ashamed about. I always say that here. Your car breaks down, you don't feel ashamed to carry that car to the mechanic to fix it. You are breaking down. Why can't you carry yourself to a therapist to help fix you? That's just how I see it. So don't be ashamed when it gets so much that it's becoming depressive and all of that. Seek professional help. Let them help you see things in a broader perspective and also help you develop a healthier pattern of thinking. It's very good for your mental well-being, I must say. Don't cover anything and don't ignore anything. Another way is learn and grow. When you feel guilty, you've processed it, you've identified it, you have done reparations. Okay, learn from it. What is your take home from this episode of guilt? What is your take home? Because if you don't go that far in your process, in your thought process, tendency is you will repeat the same thing probably to somebody else. And then you feel this guilt again. You feel the need to go and apologize, or you feel the need to make amends and all of that. So use that guilt as a learning opportunity. Reflect on what the experience has taught you and how you can grow from it. Meaning you don't go back there. You don't repeat that or keep repeating over and over again after you apologize. No. Gifty, thanks for joining. So set realistic goals for future behavior. Once you see the sign, like I remember mentioning lying, cheating, and what have you, and then a situation arises, you just feel the best way to get out of this situation is to lie. You will remember how it put you in trouble the last time where you nearly lost whatever. So that should put you in check. And then you put a lead on it. Rather, don't even say anything. That means you've learned and you've grown. And that's why you've been able to manage the new situation you found yourself. So set realistic goals for the future, for your future behavior. It really, really does help. And that's why it's always good to reflect on things. Then lastly, I'll say seek support. Talk to trusted friends, family members, or a mental health practitioner, like I've said. Sharing your feelings can provide relief and offer new insights into managing guilt. I mean, oftentimes, it might not be the first session or second session with clients, but the time they say, oh, I feel so light. You know, someone will say, oh, I feel that heavy load on my shoulder has been lifted. You don't know the fulfillment I feel when I hear that from a client. You know, that means the therapy you're having with them is working because you can actually see. Even sometimes you can see in their physical posture when they come in. Say, for example, the first time you're meeting with a client, they're like that, you know, they're always like that. And by the second, third time, you see they're sitting up, like their confidence is coming back. They're beginning to let go of whatever because we're talking about it, we're processing it. And then, you know, for every negative thought, there's always a positive to it, but you need to go to that positive as well to balance it. Otherwise, they're so in the negative, feeling guilty, depressed, and to the point it's not affecting even their physical posture. So seek support if you have to. If you have a trusted friend you need to offload to, maybe they can see reason why you're feeling guilty and may tell you one or two things you probably don't know about yourself, and then you make amends as well. So this bit I'm going to talk about because I feel it's necessary and important. Transforming guilt into positive action. Mind you, there's a thin line. I'm not saying be in denial when you're feeling guilty, but I'm saying transforming that guilt into a positive action. So ultimately, the goal is to transform guilt into a positive action. Even when you feel negative about it, you identify, you do something about it that is positive. So here are some ways we can, you know, transform that guilt into a positive action. So the first one is empathy and understanding, like I said earlier, for yourself, for whoever you have wronged. So use your experience of guilt to develop greater empathy for others. This will check you when you're about to do something. It will check you. Remember, this happened some time ago and you felt so guilty. Are you ready to carry that guilt again? So that kind of checks you because you feel that empathy. You don't want to hurt that person again. Or it could be somebody new. You don't want to hurt this new person. So understand their perspectives and feelings beforehand, which can improve your relationship because you're considerate. Some people, they say they don't know how to talk. They just talk. And you know, words are like egg. Once it comes out, you know, once you break the egg, you can't put it back in the shell and put it again. So that's how heavy our words are. So it teaches you to be mindful of what you say, especially when the situation is hot, you know, like hot. You don't just talk because you're angry. You don't just say things because you're upset, because it may damage that relationship for life. So we need to be mindful. So when you have empathy and understanding, I mean, they say, do unto others as you wish them do unto you. You know that what you're about to say, if somebody were to say that to you, it will break you. So please, let that be a check for you, having empathy and understanding. Again, how we can transform guilt into a positive action, positive change. Let guilt motivate you, let it motivate you to make positive changes in your behavior and lifestyle. You're not just feeling this guilt for feeling sake, for emotional sake. There's a reason why you're feeling guilty. I mean, if you've done something good, you feel good. Because when we do good to others, we feel good ourselves. But when you've done bad to people, you will feel the guilt like, for me, what you've just done, you know, you will feel that as well, except, like I said, you're in denial. But we're not in denial, are we? Because we want to tackle with things so we can enjoy our daily living. So, positive change, let guilt motivate you to make these positive changes in your life, in your behaviors, your values, your principles, or what have you. Commit to actions that align with your values and contribute to your well-being and the well-being of those people around you, whether your peer, your colleagues at work, your family members, or people in your neighborhood, or whatever it may be. So always think positive. You're feeling guilty. How can you navigate this to becoming a positive thing? It's very healthy that way. And then finally, advocacy and service. Channel your feelings of guilt into advocacy. Thank you, Word Insight. Thanks for joining. And service. Contribute to causes that address issues related to your guilt. If that be the case, whether it's through volunteering, activism, or supporting relevant organizations. I tell you what happened some time ago. This person was on a bike and this car was coming, kind of collided with each other, and the person on the bike obviously was on the floor. And then, the driver of the car came out and was feeling so bad. Fine, it wasn't major collision, but there was bruises and all of that, and this person in the car felt really bad. Oh my god, I never thought I could hit someone on the bike, and this. And then they took time to make sure they get to the hospital to treat the scrape. It was bloody a bit, so they had to treat it so as not to cause infection. And this person felt so bad, and something in her made her feel guilty. And one of the ways she thought she could deal with it was to volunteer as a first aider in her community. And she was doing this, helping people, minor injuries, bruises, or what have you. And that was a positive thing, and through that she's helped a lot of people in the community. And you can also think, I mean, if that be the case with you, there's always a way to giving back so you don't feel all this guilt we're talking about. So volunteering or engaging in supporting relevant organizations out there, just so that you don't carry this guilt like, oh, you've done the worst thing in the world, so that's the end of you. No, it shouldn't be. So guys, I'm going to be rounding up now, and I want us to talk more about this guilt. Do you feel guilty? Why are you feeling guilty? Is it beyond your control? Have you tried to make amends? Or, sometimes I tell you the truth about matters of life. You are now, apologetic, you're remorseful about what you've done, and you go to this person to, say to them, look, I know I've wronged you, this, and after all the talk, you just apologize and ask them to forgive you. And then that is when they start raging, they start raking, they start shouting. Even some will call you names, and all of that. And it will even make you feel guilty some more. But you shouldn't feel guilty, because you have taken the right steps to going to make amends. And that's why I said earlier that you have to forgive yourself, because the reaction of the person you're going to ask for forgiveness, they might not just want to hear it. They don't care whether you feel guilty or not. You've hurt them and you've hurt them. That's all they know. Whether you're not apologetic or you're sorry, they don't care. And they will give you ×2 of what you gave them even. And then you will leave that space feeling even more guilty. No, please learn to forgive yourself. Learn to let go. I know it's hard, but it can be done if you process things, Ask yourself, have you tried your best to make amends? Yes. Have you tried to da da da? Yes. If all the ticks are gone, please learn to live life guiltless, because you've done whatever necessary as humanly as possible, but they're just not having it. You cannot control how they will receive your apology. So please don't beat yourself about it. Don't carry more guilt because they refuse to forgive you. Please forgive yourself. So, in my conclusion today, guilt is a powerful emotion that can significantly impact our lives. And when managed properly, it serves as a moral compass that guides us towards ethical behavior and personal growth. So, by acknowledging your guilt, understanding its source, and taking proactive steps to address it, we can transform this challenging emotion into a force for positive change for us, for our family, for whoever, people around us. So remember that it's not about avoiding guilt altogether. That's why there's a thin line. It's not about avoiding guilt altogether, but learning to navigate it in a healthy and a constructive way. So I say thank you for listening, and I hope this talk has provided you with a deeper understanding of guilt and how to manage it effectively in your life. Because from time to time, as long as we're on earth living and breathing, we will offend people, we will carry guilt, we will do good to people, they will still not accept us, or they will still not want to associate with us. Auntie Adwa, I see you, thanks for joining. So please don't beat yourself. Don't just forgive yourself and let it go, because otherwise depression will start setting in, and that can even reduce your productivity at work, in that relationship, and what have you. So please be mindful. Guilt is an emotion. When it comes, reflect on it, do the needful, don't ignore it. Do the needful so you can free yourself of that heavy burden you're carrying. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Please, I want us to come up. Let's talk about this guilt. And maybe there's a million or one things I've not mentioned that was coming to your mind as I was talking. Please, we want to share. We want to hear from you. We want to learn from you as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Future and life. Francis, I see you. Let the light must be bending, shine to the whole world. Let the dawn of a new day bring understanding and love. Adetunji, I see you. Thanks for joining. Inside. Thank you, guys. Thank you for liking the live. Yeah. So the topic is guilt. Been talking about this topic, trying to expand it, such that we don't, go to bed feeling guilty unnecessarily, or carrying on, or, not just forgiving ourselves because of this. So guys, what perspective do you want to bring to it? So my question is, are others responsible for the guilt you feel? Maybe there are others, instead of you carrying that guilt. Adetunji, Bimbola, thanks for joining. Nature's Breath, thanks for joining. Guys, I want us to talk about this. Welcome, Word Inside. Thank you for always joining. I really, really appreciate you. Word Insight on Inside with FunmiRoyal. How are you today? Happy August.
I'm fine. Thank you so much. Are you too?
Yeah, we bless God. Thank God for another month. Thank you. So I don't know, you've been hearing me.
That's fine.
You say?
Yes. So thank God.
Oh, yeah, we bless God. So I just want to hear your perspective about this topic. Do you think, others may just be responsible for the guilt we feel, not necessarily what we have done? I don't know. That's my question to us. And then, of course, we can share our own perspective about guilt. Have you experienced that? And have you tried? Did it work when you tried to deal with it? Or even backlashed some more, and you're struggling with it? Let's hear from you today, because I really want to hear from other people as well. So, Word Insight, I don't know what your take is on it, but let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you so much for a wonderful topic to talk about. Uh,
Thank you.
I would say every human being on this planet Earth has gone through that, you
Mm,
know, because
yeah.
I believe most times when we try to express ourselves, maybe from a different view or perspective, you understand,
Yeah.
people might not really understand where you are coming from. And because of your background and the environment you grew up from, so
Mm,
your point of expression will quite be different from
yeah.
others. And
Yeah.
that's why when you are trying to explain yourself with people, it is always good for people's mind to be wide open to understand people from their different perspective
Yes,
and to
sir.
be able to assimilate and, that's what I call the 3A, you understand? Be
Okay,
able
you want to
to
share that?
yeah, let me just say it, and I'm not gonna go deep on it. You know, every
Okay.
one of us as a human, we should learn how to adapt,
Mm-hmm.
to adjust, and to accommodate. You understand? Yeah,
Yeah.
because we meet different people with different mindset and perspective. You know, because sometimes things happen under duress, and when those things happen, we should be able to apply empathy and emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That you try to find a feedback why such thing happened,
Yeah.
and when you try to, most times we don't just jump into conclusion. When we hear from others,
Yeah.
most times we become so emotional based on what has happened to them. You understand? So and when people are trying to apologize for what they have done, it is very important for you to listen to them. Even if you're gonna put some gaps between the friendship or relationship, you
Mm,
shouldn't just react so irrationally, or you understand. So one, give them a lending ear, but it's hurting when people keep on doing the same thing to you and trying to apologize. So
no.
it's always good to give people the privilege, the opportunity to express themselves. And when they do, try to forgive. I'm so happy today that Christ has given me the grace to come to Him, because if not, before I do not forgive. Forgiveness is more like
Mm,
weakness to me.
yeah.
Do you understand? Yeah. So,
Oh,
and when people ask for forgiveness genuinely, there are people who ask you for forgiveness, but they are not remorseful. They
oh
just do
yeah.
that, just to talk about it, and it always pains the heart when you feel this person is not apologizing from the heart. You understand? So, and when that happens, when these two parties come together and you refuse to forgive, and the person can fall into low esteem, low
Yeah.
self-esteem,
Yeah.
into low esteem, and into, there's a word in the Bible called low diva. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So when people go through that stage, automatically you have contributed to their problems, and that's why the Bible says we should forgive. So
Yeah.
in that, what I want to say in a nutshell is this: please, no matter what happens, okay, friendship might be tight, but
Mm.
there will be some bridges, ups and downs. Everyone should always remember, in one way or the other, we have offended somebody.
Oh
You
yeah.
understand? Yeah. And the person, if everybody refuses to forgive, there's a problem, because it's lack of forgiveness that brings all that. You understand? So
Really?
that's what I have to say, because I
Yeah.
want to say this, that if Jesus has refused to forgive Peter despite telling him that he's going to betray him, and he went ahead to do that, humanly, it's tough, because when I talk to you right now that you're going to betray me and you end up betraying me, you
The
understand,
guilt.
it's going to be so hard to forgive. Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
please, and when people start feeling guilt, a lot of people can commit. Yeah.
Yeah.
When people start feeling guilt, they can go extra miles. Some people can even buy themselves or take do drastic things and most times keep a written note
That's the
down
extreme.
for point of emphasis. So please,
Yeah.
yeah. So please, with all due respect, because everybody needs everyone to share their heart. Because one eye, if you see a snake, it's gonna be a python to you. But when two eyes sees it, they'll tell you that it's not as big as you think. It's not a
A
python. It's just a
problem
snake. Because
shared is half solved, as
yeah,
they say.
probably so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
iron sharpeneth iron. Thank you so much. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's the extreme case when this person has not dealt with it and they feel they need to just take their own lives. That is the extreme bit of carrying guilt. It does happen because you hear of some cases. I mean, it's like you don't want to hear such, but it's happening, but it shouldn't be really. That's why I say sometimes we may need to seek professional help. So thank you so much, Word Insight, for that insight. Thank you. May Joy, you are welcome. Welcome, welcome to Insight. I don't know which perspective you want to look at it, but I'd love to hear from you. And I'm sure people out there want to hear from you as well. Thank you guys for liking the live. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate that. So let's hear from you, May Joy. You're welcome.
Good evening. Sorry, I'm a little bit busy in the kitchen, but
Oh,
I
okay.
just saw the topic interesting and I told myself, no, no, no.
So wait.
It's a
What are
very
you cooking? We are making me feel hungry now. What are you cooking? What are
see
you
that
cooking? What
I'm
is
doing a
it?
little stuff.
Is it what
Thank
is
you
it
very
bolognese sauce or what are you trying to make?
No, I'm just trying to make sauce, chicken sauce with
Oh my goodness. Oh
Oh
no.
my god.
Let's see right now. See, I'm what my okay. All right, go ahead.
You're already salivating.
Please go ahead. Let's
Okay.
hear you. Thank
All
you
right,
so
darling.
much.
Let me call the boys to continue so that I can
Oh, okay. But we
give
still
my
want to hear from
submission.
you.
All right, all right. So when you are talking about guilt, my opinion on this is that there are some people who actually keep offending you and you keep forgiving, and they keep offending and you keep forgiving. Yes, there is no doubt forgiveness is so good. It's good for us to forgive. But one thing I want to talk about this forgiveness, the fact that you do something wrong and I forgive you does not mean I will still make you my friend or I'll still keep you in my circle. There
Okay.
is a level of there is a level of offense. There is a level of offense that someone will commit. You just know that this one is beyond what the physical eyes can see. It
Yeah.
goes beyond, if you are sensitive enough, okay, I have a friend and she's never grateful. Whenever something good happens to me, she's always on the negative side. You could see her expression. She's always not happy. And
Wow.
you see, the same friend might just leave you to go and backbite you somewhere and just to tarnish your image. In
And
such a situation, what do I do? Now, just for my own sake, I will forgive you. Will I forgive you? Yes. But the fact that I've forgiven you does not mean I should bring you back to my circle.
good point. Thank you.
Because most times some friends come back when they are apologizing, they are not actually remorseful. They are looking for a loophole to still attack you. I heard of a friend, I think this thing happened in UK. That should be last year, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, a friend had problems with his friend and they talked. And after a year or 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, he came back calling that the friend. The friend said, okay, I'm in a bar. I can't come with you to the house. He said, please come. I'm really sorry for whatsoever thing that has happened between us. I'm a changed person. I'm sorry. With an open heart, this guy came back to his house and his friend killed him inside his own house.
Wow.
Inside his own house.
Wow. Wow.
You see, most times human beings are unpredictable. And that is why I tell so many people it's good for us to be very sensitive. I don't bring everybody into my circle. To me, once bitten, 20 times shy. No
Ah,
one.
I'll beat you to that statement. Guess what? Mine is once beaten, forever shy. It's forever shy.
Yeah.
Because you
Do
learn
you
the
get
hard
you
way.
never shy?
Oh, thank you.
Because some people who just want to keep hurting you. As do you know, I tell people it's so hard now for me to keep friends. I'm so tender. And
Wow.
people easily, once they see you, they just come to you because they just know that this one is soft-hearted. I can use her.
They take
Do
advantage,
you know, I
yeah.
was telling somebody, yes, they take advantage of you. There's somebody who came close to me. I said, sorry, I don't make friends so much. I have just one friend, and I'm okay with her. You know, I feel that the reason why so many people come to me is not because they love me. It's because they know they can easily get something from me. So
You.
I deserve to be loved, not to be used.
That's
Now,
true.
I remember I said I deserve to be loved, not to be used. I have been severally used. So I
Wow.
need someone who will love me. I don't want to be used any longer. I have just one girlfriend and the family that can come to my house. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So forgiveness is good. But for the fact that I've forgiven you does not mean I'm bringing you back to my circle. Have I forgiven you? Yes. When I see you, will I greet you? Oh my God, how will you have a kid? Hope you're cool.
But that's it.
100% I can do that. You know, I remember when I went for my son's graduation, there's somebody I noticed, you are not coming because you love me. You're coming because of what you can get from me. When I noticed that, I cut off with a split of seconds. I'm gone. And I saw her with all my arms going to greet her. She just snubbed me. I said, good and fine. I don't have a problem with that. When my friend saw it, she smiled. I said, but I will still greet her.
Wow.
I deserve to be loved, not to be used.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in forgiveness, we should be careful. Will you
Yes.
forgive? Yes. But please, bringing them back to that same circle is always very difficult. For me, it's very difficult. Thank you. That's my
Thank you so
submission.
much. Thank you so much. I mean, a repeat offender, someone who that means they don't feel any guilty about anything. They don't feel the guilt they keep because they
At
know you.
all.
Soft spot. They know this person. Give her 2 weeks, she'll forgive me, and they don't feel that guilt at all.
Exactly.
And they keep
Exactly.
saying, I
Exactly.
understand you perfectly well, sis.
Yeah.
And such people we need. That's why I said we need to reflect on things, find the source, and do the needful. It's not everybody. One of my pastors said something. He said, "Look at imagine me in I'm the ball here, and I have circle of friends here, and outer other circle. Like the circle is huge. I only bring them into the closest circle to me when they are trustworthy, because people will hurt you,
Yeah.
people will use you. So you need to know where to
For sure.
place people in your lives." And the truth is, some people you might think they love you. The moment you turn your back, they're like this. And they don't feel guilty the way they treat you.
Straight up. Straight
So
up.
please, God will help us. Thank you so much. Thank you. So if I'm going to come to you, but before I do, it's past the hour. I want to give us a puzzle. I brought this puzzle last week. Nobody knows it. Let's quickly read. Forgiveness is not the same as repentance. Oh, tell me about it. You can forgive someone, but it does not mean they have changed. So you need to draw boundaries with such people. Honestly, yes. Johnny Babes, thanks for that contribution. That is, you've spot on. You've just nailed the thing on the head. Because sometimes, because we're sentimental, we're emotional, we just want peace with all men, but does not mean they want peace with you. So you need to be able to discern. You need to be able to discern to know to put them at arm's length or close by or very far away, because they will keep doing evil to you or bad to you and they don't feel guilty. They don't feel that guilt to even come
At
and say they want to
all.
apologize. Some people, I'm sorry, you're going to come up soon, Ify. Some people, you even say to them, oh, what you did really offended me. I didn't like it, blah, blah. They say, get over it. And you're wondering, what are you still doing with this person? No, no, please. Let's be empathetic and sympathetic towards one another. If you don't want people treating you
Some will
certain
be so
way, don't
quick.
treat people that way. You know, thank you so
Some will
much
be
for
so quick to penalize you. They'll put
thank you. So my puzzle for today is from last week, like I said, and it's puzzle. We called it puzzle. So don't overthink it. Why did Judas carve the turkey? Why did Judas carve the turkey? Manager, I don't know if you're there. Mary, if you're there, somebody can help me type it on the screen so that we can see it. Why did Judas carve? You know, when Christmas comes, you have to carve the turkey and serve everybody. So why did Judas carve the turkey? If you know the answer, please send an invite and come tell us so you can get the gift for today. Thank you. So thank you so much for liking the live. So Ify, I'm coming to you. Yeah? Did you say something word inside?
Rose, please, can you repeat the puzzle?
The puzzle is why did
Yes, I didn't get the
Judas,
puzzle. Repeat the puzzle.
why, Emmy, love, I don't know if you're there, why did Judas carve the turkey? Why did he do that? Why do you think he did that? There's a reason why. And it's somewhat related to this guilt we're talking about. Anyway, so don't overthink it, but there's a reason why Judas carved the turkey. So if you know the answer, please come up and tell us. Otherwise, I will keep my gift and tell us the answer later. So Ify, I want to hear from you today. What is your take on this topic, guilt? Thank you.
Hello, good evening,
You
everyone.
have to unmute. Oh, how are you? Good evening.
I'm doing all right.
You okay where you are?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just recovering from cold.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can hear that. That was me last week.
yeah.
Oh, I
Just
hope you're taking hot pepper soup.
yeah. I'm doing everything I can.
Okay. Oh, it is
Yeah,
well with you, my brother. God bless you. Thanks for joining all the same. So I don't know
thank
what the
you.
perspective is of this topic today. Or you want to attempt the puzzle, is up to you, whichever one.
Let me talk about the topic first.
Okay.
Guilt. Guilt is quite it's like a heavy kind of burden when you carry it, and but not everybody carries guilt. A lot of people don't have conscience, and when you don't have conscience, you can do things and you don't even think about it twice. You
Yeah.
know, it's like when you look around how people unalive people easily without any iota of remorse or things like that. In fact, they do it on videos.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see that there's no element of guilt in these people. So when it comes to guilt, I think it varies from people to people. Like me, for instance, if I take something that doesn't belong to me, I might not be able to sleep at night because all throughout the night I'm thinking about, oh, how is this person feeling? Now that I've taken something that belongs to them and make that in mine.
Yeah.
And it will be heavy on me that the next day I'm looking for a way to restore what I've taken from them or that kind of thing. I apologize to them. And that's the thing. So I've come to understand that a lot of people they don't have that feeling in them at all. So they can do whatever they like and get away with it. And they don't, if you don't remind them constantly, they don't see it as anything. It's like you tell somebody this is what you did to me, they say, oh, okay, sorry, I didn't know I made you feel that way. You know, and I always say this, that there are different kinds of apology that you tender to people. You know,
Definitely.
there's a sincere apology and there's an apology just to make face. You know, if I come to you and say, well, I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry. That's not an apology. You know, that's just trying to make face. You know, that it's like somebody asking you, "How are you?"
Not
when they don't really,
remorseful even.
yeah,
Yeah.
when they don't really mean it. You know, when people come to you and say, "Well, I didn't know it will hurt you. That's why I did it." That's not an apology. If you want to apologize to someone, you need to be sincere about it, and then try not to do the same thing again. And when it comes to also forgiveness after the apology, it's forgiveness is for me, not for the other person. And that's why most of the time I forgive, not because that person deserves it, but because I deserve peace. Because one thing I've come to realize is that when I don't forgive, you know, when when I don't forgive, I get angry at the mention of that person's name. And that person can be somewhere having fun, and somebody mentions their name around me, I get angry. So I'm destroying myself. You know,
It's fine.
anger and unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for someone else to die.
Hey.
That's literally what it is. So, and that's why when people do something to me, like a friend did something really terrible, that something that can reverse the course of their life, and they sit down is like, should I do something drastically against this person? But at the same time, you're like, nah, you know, it's not really worth it. And I found myself a period of a year getting angry at the mention of his name all the time. And then one day I knelt down to pray and I said, God, I forgive this person. I called his name. I said, I forgive him for everything he's did to me, you know, that kind of thing. And from that very day, I was free from that anger that I had in me. And that's the thing about forgiveness. Forgiveness is for us, not for that person. Forgiveness brings freedom, brings liberation, bring, you know, peace of mind. You know, whatever I decide to do with you after I forgive you is up to me, you know, because me personally, there's a way I categorize my friends. There are people I call bosom friends. These bosom friends are people that have been tested and they're trusted. And then there are what I call beer parlor friends. There are people that who do your football friends who go watch football. There are people that, you know, fitness friends who just go work out at the gym and things like that. And then there are work colleagues. And I keep on saying this, that your neighbor is not your friend. That doesn't mean that your neighbor cannot be your friend. You know, your work colleague is not your friend. That doesn't mean that your work colleague cannot be your friend. It's just that the moment people start talking to people, going to lunch with people, going to church or entering the same train or bus with people, we automatically assume they are our friends. So, yeah, when it comes to guilt, me personally, if I do something, maybe because of the way I was brought up, when I do something I know I shouldn't do to someone, I constantly remind myself, okay, you need to go back and apologize to that person, you know, because it will be heavy on me. Sleeping, I'll be thinking about it, or how is that person feeling? And that's why most of the time I'll just send a text message, hey, bro, I'm really sorry for what I did, you know, that kind of thing. I hope you find it in a place your heart to forgive me. And the moment you reply me, bro, it's fine, I'm free. You know, that freedom that comes with it, I can go to bed and sleep well. And when people wrong me as well, whether they ask for forgiveness or not, it's just for me to be free from the toxin that comes from anger that comes whenever I hear their name. I'll say in my heart that I forgive them, you know, because I just want to be free. I just don't want to be angry all the time, because they can be somewhere having a good time, having, you know, pepper soup and having, you know, peace, you know, game fun night, and I'm here struggling, you know, getting angry because this person offended me. You know, they say that he who dines with the devil dines with a long spoon. So when the devil wants to do anything, he use the spoon and knock his head, and by the time you want to grab the spoon. So, you know, when I when I forgive that person, I put that person at arm's length, because I know what this person is capable of. You know? And it's like John the Baptist was telling the people in Old Testament that came for baptism. He said, "You brood of vipers, who have warned you." And that's the same thing. They say you need to show evidence you have totally repented. And the same thing, when I forgive people, I keep them at arm's length. If I see you, I'll greet you. If you need help, and come to me. If I have the solution to your need, I'll offer you that solution. But that doesn't mean that I'll bring you to the bosom of my, you know, life. So yeah. So when it comes to guilt, I feel it all the time. But not everybody has the capacity to feel it, and that's why people do whatever they do, and they don't feel any remorse about it. And when it comes to forgiveness, I mean, it to me, it's just the right thing to do for us to be free. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think there's a theme pattern coming up here. Forgive them, you know, they feel guilty, they've apologized, and maybe it depends on what they've done. Forgive them, but put them at arm's length. because them coming so close to you, they have to earn it again. And that's if they ever earn it again. So guys, we need to be careful. Some people feel guilty. They don't do anything about it. Some people feel guilty and they even lose their sleep and they do something about it and their life is okay. They can go to sleep and live their life. And one of the things I mentioned is you have to learn to forgive yourself. Because if you go even to someone and apologize and all, and they say, I'm not going to forgive you, does that mean you still carry that guilt everywhere you go? At some point, you have to let go. At least you've done whatever possible to make amends. It's now them reacting that way, but you've done your bit. Release yourself so you cannot lose sleep again and find rest, find peace. If they're carrying on like that, I mean, it's beyond you. So you can't control how people react all the time. As long as you're remorseful and you're genuinely, apologetic about what you've done. So please hold your peace and live your life. Thank you so much, Ify, for that contribution. How are you, my dear brother? God bless you. How are you today? You're welcome to Inside. I hope you're there.
Hello?
Good evening, Mila for Christ. Are you there?
Oh, Mila.
Yeah, because I'm just checking into the box as it is. So maybe he can't speak at the moment, so I'll have to skip him and come back. So before I come to you, Soph, you really surprised me today. Thank you so much. I think this time change is really working. I can see friends and followers here and there. So I really appreciate. Thank you guys for joining in today. So my puzzle, I know we're talking about a very sensitive topic, and that's why I always bring this puzzle to kind of ease the tension a bit. So my puzzle for today is, why did Judas carve the turkey? Why did Judas carve the turkey? If you know the answer, please tell us.
Can I give it
You
a
want to
try?
try? Yes.
Yeah. Why did Judas carve the turkey? Does it have something to do because he like to stab people at the back? Like because he stabbed Christ at the back. Did I get it?
I can't believe. Is it a guess or you really find the answer on Google somewhere or something?
No, it's
Yes.
just I've been thinking about it
Oh no, because I brought it last week. Nobody could get it. Why did Judas carve the turkey? Because he likes stabbing things in the back. Yay! We all know that he stabbed Jesus at the back.
too. Yeah, that's
The
what I was like. I've been
metaphor,
thinking
whatever.
about
Yeah.
it.
So today, yeah, you get to have I give you the donut and 2 ice cream. So don't rush it. It's for you to relax for the evening. Thank you so much for
Thank you
getting the
so much.
puzzle. Because
Thank
otherwise, I
you.
thought I was going to eat. And if I keep eating this donut, I'll be bigger like this. You won't see me again on screen. So thank you once again. Judas betrayed Jesus, and this guilt is what we're talking about today. And as I said, it's related somewhat. I didn't even plan it. So Judas, who knew Jesus to be someone who forgives, he's taught them about forgiveness. That's why he came to even die for humanity. So he's always telling these disciples about the forgiveness, repentance, and all that. So Judas heard this. Fine, you betrayed him. If I were Judas, I mean, what Jesus was telling me all the while, it's time to try it out. I'll just go back. No, they gave me this 30 pounds to betray you, but I know now that I've done wrong. Please forgive me. Do you think Jesus would turn his back on him? No, Jesus is all
No.
about forgiveness. But Judas did not even think to that level. Even though he heard the word, it didn't stay in him. So we need to be mindful that we don't be a backstabber. And like quite a number of people have said here, we need to learn to forgive ourselves. Ask for forgiveness, forgive yourself, because there's no point carrying this guilt unnecessarily. I talked about healthy guilt and unhealthy guilt earlier on for those who joined in early. So we need to be mindful, self-reflect, process things, don't be in denial. And you might just find that peace you're looking for. Hajara, you're welcome. So I'm coming to you, Soph. If Mila is ready, I'm not sure. Whilst we wait, maybe I'll come back to him. Soph, how are you? Good evening. I think is it your first time on Insight? I'm not sure. Unmute and let us hear you tonight. Soph, don't go quiet on me now.
Okay. Thank you so much, my sister.
You're welcome.
Inviting me and to just let me say something
Okay.
on the topic.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, my brother. That the brother that has just found the answer.
Oh,
God
Ify,
bless
thank
you.
you.
But let me talk something. Let me say something on the topic that is guilty. You
Guilty.
know, guilty is an opposite of the truth.
Okay, that's the dimension you're bringing to it. So we're talking
Yeah,
about guilt. So not necessarily guilty because it may mean something else, but if that's how you want to break it down for us, fine, it's good. Thank
yeah.
you.
Before I go any further, first someone has to know guilt is an opposite of the truth. And in our lives, in our everyday lives that we have on earth, if you've seen people who always rush to this action, for example, you wrong me or I wrong you, then I rush to forgive me, I didn't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Very quickly, in within some seconds, I respond with the humbleness to you. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Such kind of people, they are like that in their lives, and they walk with the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God leads them. Not an evil person. Sorry to mention these terms. Sorry to mention because the
This is what
topic
it
is very
is.
sensitive.
Yeah.
Guilty. You know, the guilty, like my brother, the way he was putting it, the guilt, if you've an evil spirit in you, you have an evil things in you. Guiltness cannot cannot become anything to your attention or to anything. You cannot even mind about, you can't mind about that. Why? Because you have evil in you. So you keep on doing something wrong, you keep on sinning, you keep on killing, stabbing, or what? Bad things. And you cannot feel that guiltness in you to air it out. You can't do that. Why? Because you have evil in you. So, it,
Can I stop you for 1 second? Just because I've
yeah.
noticed I'm always using 6 boxes. Can you help me? Let's bring up 2 more boxes. I think I can go 8 boxes. How do I do that?
Which boxes?
You know where you have the guests, because I thought maybe this is your thing, or anybody on there. I want to add 1 more box or two.
Yeah, I think you can still add one more.
Ah,
So
you
yeah,
can
it's
add.
finding the button to press for that.
You
I'm
just
not.
it's someone to send a request and see if you can be able to do it automatically. If not, you just need to change the setting.
Oh, it will be in
Yeah,
the second.
yeah, you just
No, I
need to
think at the
reposition.
moment,
Change the
the one
setting.
inviting.
Bros, you have to change the setting.
Okay, so let's see, because yeah, I'm still learning here on Insta. Let's see, setting. Um, there's nothing here on the
So where
setting.
you know where you see the guest, click on the guest. Then when it pops open, then you see the gear thing. Click on that gear. Then you see the boxes, and then you choose you change it to different.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, I see.
yeah,
Switch to.
yeah.
Okay.
So you can
Yay.
put with now you can just click on your own box. Then you can magnify yourself. Then you put yourself like in a big screen. Yes,
Oh,
that's it.
where is my clap? I need to give you the. I need to give you the clap. Let's see where is that. Thank you so much
This is
for
a
that. See, I
breakthrough.
haven't done this at all. Thank you.
This is a breakthrough for you.
Yay. So I can bring more people because I can see people coming up, and I couldn't add more to the 6 that I have. So let's see how far we go today. So thank you guys. Thank you. So yeah, you can carry on. Apologies for stopping you there.
Uh, that is that, my sister. I just don't know how you came up with this topic. Guilty. It's a very powerful topic, I tell you.
Guilt. Guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always give talk about whatever topic so that people can start thinking, and the ones that I've not talked about regarding that topic, they can always, share and expand. And I bet a lot of people there listening now, they're thinking about it. Just like if he said somebody has done something wrong and they don't even have that conscience to say you've done wrong. So maybe they're listening now and they're self-checking themselves, and they can go and make amends to whoever the person is, because it's usually an offense towards somebody else most times. But like I said in my talk, some people carry unhealthy guilt. You have done something good to someone, but they're always complaining, and you feel guilty that you're not doing enough. That is unhealthy. We don't, no, no, no. We don't want to partake in that. So there's so many aspects to it. And that's why I say, okay, let's hear you guys. Which aspect do you want to bring this topic to, so that we can have even more understanding? So thank you all for your contribution so far. I really, really appreciate that. So, Soph, I don't know if you're done with your submissions, and I can go
The
to.
last point I wanted just to add on that is,
You're welcome.
people don't, the people who does not recognize, or their heart does not tell them to say you are guilty consciously. It
That's
just,
hard.
it, they keep on wronging other people, or the friend or the wife or the husband, if at all we can mention the marriages today. Then those people are very much dangerous to live with them, because they cause depressions, they cause hypertension, they cause even trauma, or ending up in trauma.
High
If you
blood
have such
pressure.
a one in your living, you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And it's even harder if it's someone that lives in your household. Someone that is there, they're not going anywhere anytime soon, and this is probably their behavior or their attitude. They just do things anyhow, hurt you, and they don't feel remorseful about it. They don't even see it. And sometimes you even address these things with them. They'll be like, okay, is that all? Is that why is this? And they don't even see anything wrong in anything. That is very dangerous. So even if the person is living in your household, you still need wisdom to deal with them. Otherwise, you don't want high blood pressure in your own home. So let's be mindful. Thank you so much, so for that. So I'm coming to you. Mila for Christ, are you there now? Can you speak where you are? Otherwise, you can type on the screen. I can probably read it out. Maybe he's somewhere he can't talk. Okay. How are you?
Yes, I can talk.
Okay, thanks for joining.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good morning. The everyone has said in fact, everyone has just said everything. Forgiveness is very, very important, but you just have to forgive and free yourself from why should I forgive him or her?
Yeah.
And if Jesus can forgive our sins, can still die for us, then it also means that we too can do that. We should forgive for our salvation to be, for we to sustain our salvation. Let me put it that way. So, and if you can't forgive, sometimes, and not sometimes, if you don't forgive, it brings setback to you. It brings a lot of setback. And it is only the believers, the true Christians, that will know what I'm talking about. An unbeliever may decide not to forgive. And they live, whether it go well with them or not. Or they want to say, my dear, I will never forgive this person. I will never forgive this man for cheating on me, this woman for, cheating on me. But you're just wasting your time. You're putting more harm in yourself. On yourself. So the best thing to do as human is to forgive and let go. Then another one is that don't bring those people close to you. See them as your normal. You are not in.
Put them at
You're
arm's
not in.
length.
With them. So That is all about. Because if you die with sin, without forgiving someone, you too, you will be judged.
That's
When
the
that
thing.
time comes, you will be judged. So it's very, very important we forgive. But sometimes it's difficult because we are humans.
Yes, I
We
know.
are humans. So the flesh deceive us. But when you allow the spirit to control the flesh, you can forgive and forget. You can still even say, well, let me continue to make friends with them. For me, I have forgiven them. If they want to keep doing bad to me, let God pay them. You understand? So, but very, very important we forgive and let go so that we progress and move forward.
In our lives,
You
yes.
understand?
Thank you.
So that
It's very crucial. I'm not sure whether you're done with your submission, but it was just bringing some things to mind. Me, I'm kind of reflecting back to past incidents, and in fact, you nailed it for me. And I want to believe
very
somebody out there listening as well. Yeah, thank
you know,
you.
see, all of us, in one way or the other, we have offended
Definitely,
ourselves,
definitely.
and someone has forgiven you. So you too, you have to repeat that. You have to forgive someone too. You have to forgive someone.
Yeah, it's very crucial.
Psalmist said about it when Nathan came and said, "See, there is someone in your place here that has done terrible thing, has done this. He has everything. He still went ahead to take from the poor man, the only one he has." What did Samuel did? And he humbled himself. He humbled himself. He didn't make himself he didn't say, okay, because I am a king, I will not listen to the prophets. I will not listen to, the message that has come for me. He humbled himself. He said, who is that person? The prophet said, you are the person. Immediately, he went on his knees. He went on his knees. He submit. He became submissive, and I'm pleading with God. Forgive me. Wash me. If you say, wash me, that I may be whiter than snow.
As a
You
conscience,
understand?
somebody with
Yes.
a
So he did that. But these days, let me repeat, these days we are in, we find it difficult to do the same thing.
tell me
You can
about it.
imagine someone, maybe like you are a commissioner, you're a governor, you have offended someone, you say, I'm a governor. Why should I go on my knees to or
They're
beg
too big.
someone?
They're too big to apologize. Yeah.
I'm too big. Pride and pride kills. There is nothing there. When you forgive someone or someone forgives you, it shows that the spirit of humbleness in Christ is in you. That is why when you do anything good, you will prosper. Whatever you ask, because you are not having any grudges in your mind with maybe, or
Have a
you
pure
are just
mind.
free with yourself.
Yeah.
So let us learn from those things. We should not be carried away by the material things we have. That you cannot be humble to tell your wife or your friend or your sister or whoever that is involved to say, my dear, I am so sorry from the deep of my heart. I am sorry. I am sorry. You understand? So we should learn from all those things. We should learn from leaders like those kings of those days, when they are so humble to say, I am so sorry. You made me a king. I did not make myself a king. So whatever in any way I've offended you, I am sorry. Let's go back to those days
Yes. Thank
like
you.
that, and it will help us. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Indeed. It's thing to do wrong by somebody. It's another thing to have that conscience pricking you, telling you you have done wrong. Go and apologize. Otherwise, you're just carrying the guilt. You want to sleep. You're still trying to justify what you did, you know. Some will even deny it altogether, and over time, they lose conscience. They don't have a conscience anymore. And then this person you've offended would even have the courage to face you, like, you've done this, I don't like it, or I did not like it, I don't appreciate. That should confirm that guilt you're feeling. But instead you say, oh, bug off, or whatever, and you're still trying to be. So humility, thank you for mentioning that. Humility is very key. We need to have that in and don't kill your conscience, because it's a guide to living life. Because like Mila said, we're not perfect. We are not perfect. Even me, I'm talking here, I've had to apologize to people. Even sometimes they've wronged me, I still have to apologize. Imagine that. It's never okay, especially when the Spirit of God says, for me, I know what this person has offended, but you go and apologize. I'll be like, that's cheating. Holy Spirit, me, imagine arguing with the Holy Spirit, and then he will go quiet on me. And then I want to sleep. I'm thinking, have you done what he said? I won't be able to sleep. Before I know, it's almost 4 a.m. I can't sleep. I'm like, why am I torturing myself? Just go and do the needful. Probably justify, oh, but they offended me. Why am I the one carrying the guilt? Couldn't they feel what I'm feeling? Can't they see that they're the one? You know, you just talk. When you lose sleep for many days, you will know to do the right thing. So don't fight it, especially when your conscience, your intuition, all of these things we have as human, because I understand and appreciate the fact that not everybody is a born-again Christian, but as long as you're human, you have a conscience in you. You have something called intuition, which we even talked about a few months back. Don't ignore it. It's for your own good, so that you can live a guilt-free life. You just do the needful and leave it, and let the sleeping dogs lie. So thank you so much. Thank you for in no particular order. Zizi, how are you? Good evening. You're welcome. We want to hear from you today. What's your take on this topic? I always want to learn.
Good evening. I'm doing well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Today's topic is about guilt. My understanding of this is when you have committed an offense, so you have this feeling of guilt within you that you have offended someone and you're feeling hurt about that. So I think the best way to release yourself from guilt is to acknowledge that you have committed an offense. That is by owning up to your actions, and try to make means to amend the situation by humbling yourself, as the other guest has said here, and go and ask for forgiveness from the person that we have offended. Yeah. Because if you stay with this feeling of hurt, you may take away joy from you, because you will attract sicknesses and you feel isolated. You don't want to see people. So there's a lot of that. It has a negative effect on your well-being generally.
Yeah.
So it's best that you humble yourself and ask for forgiveness.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You nailed it also on the head. You know, we need to humble ourselves. Pride goes before a fall. They say pride will not help anything, you know. And if care is not taken, that relationship might just be lost for life. Just because we have pride in us, we cannot humble ourselves enough to say, I
Host,
forgive you, or to say, I'm guilty of this, forgive me.
host, host,
Yes?
host, can you use my boss and bring a Judah to the Judah tribe? So
Okay.
because you want to say something,
Oh,
I'll be on
okay.
the comment section. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for understanding. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So let's, yeah. If I can find, let him send an invite because I'm not sure he's here. There's only one person. I don't want to bring. So Yuda, thank you so much. Let's see. Can you send an invite so I can bring you up? Thank you so much. Let's see. Yeah, word inside. I'm not sure I understand what Yuda is trying to say. But Yuda, you can send an invite so I can bring you up, yeah? Let's see. No, it's not there. Okay, so no. No, it's somebody else that is there. So Yuda,
Host,
send an invite so I can bring you up. Yeah, thank you.
host.
Yes, sir.
When you make some claps, you like stop talking or
Oh,
someone, because if you make some claps and then you are talking, you are cutting yourself. We don't hear anything.
okay. So maybe I will kind of limit. I just like that sound, just to encourage the speakers. So I probably will pause a bit, just so that we can hear each other. Thank you so much for the observation. See, we learn every day. Thank you so much. So whilst I wait for Yuda's invite, no, he's still not sending it. So I'm going to go to Pastor. I can't see your full name, or Pastor Elagu. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm so sorry if I'm not. Okay, I can see Yuda there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yuda, for sending the invite. You're welcome. So I'll just meet you for a second so we can hear from Pastor. I don't know what your take is on this topic. We're talking about guilt. We've talked about unhealthy guilt. We've talked about healthy guilt. So we need that, in our daily living, and we need to know what to do with the healthy one or the unhealthy one. And people's perspective today boils down to forgiveness, humility, having a conscience, knowing when to ask for forgiveness and knowing when to forgive even, and then boundaries. Boundaries. For the fact that forgiving you does not mean I will bring you into my heart straight away. So we need to set boundaries so that they don't keep offending us. We don't keep carrying that guilt and all of that. So, Pastor, I want to hear from you. Good evening. You're welcome to Insight.
Very good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's beautiful to see great people talk about serious issues. Forgiveness and guilt are a very broad topic, such that
Yeah.
you will need to break the two of them down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, forgiveness is like this: someone has wronged you, or you feel or you suspect that someone has wronged you, right?
Yeah.
It comes off like this: if if you have offended me and I don't forgive you, what have I
I
done?
wonder.
Have I you, or am I punishing myself, right? Which one am I doing?
Question.
If you are a serious minded person, because I'm at a point in my life where you need to separate people who are immature from people who are mature,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you are immature, then you must learn. If you are matured, it becomes a matter of principle. So let me talk from the maturity standpoint.
Yeah. Please.
Someone who has a lot on his mind, right? Someone who has a lot on his mind, things to accomplish, greatness to attain, lives to bless, places to go. You cannot afford to not forgive.
Oh, yes. Definitely. I think Pastor's next.
You cannot afford it. This
Yeah.
is what unforgiveness does, right? First, You are offended. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can, but it's kind
Can you
of
hear
in
me?
and out. Yeah, I
Okay, the
can hear you
network is a
now.
bit. All
Yeah,
right.
it's a bit
So
poorly.
first, there's when you have a lot to do, forgiveness becomes a principle that you must adopt in your life. Why must it be so? You are on a journey,
Yeah.
and because there's a lot of things on your mind that you must attain, that you must accomplish. What unforgiveness
Oh.
does is that it clogs
I think, Pastor, the network with you is dwindling. It's kind of going in and out. So we're missing some key points you're making.
your mind. Try
Can
it.
you hear me? I can see one bar in your
Okay, is it better now?
connection. Yeah, it is better, but once you start speaking, it goes off again. So we're trying to pick your points.
Let him drop and then come back. Maybe the
Okay,
network will stabilize. Yes.
okay,
Is it better
okay.
now?
I can still see one bar, so I don't know how long that would take
Okay, I'm
us.
actually changing
Okay, carry
position
on.
completely.
Okay, you can carry on. Let's see if it will stay. Thank you.
Okay, can you? All right, you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so when you have important things in your life to accomplish,
Yeah,
you cannot afford not to forgive because unforgiveness clogs your mind.
that's true.
Unforgiveness takes an awful space in your mind so that you are not able to think clearly. And so the point where you want to harbor unforgiveness are people who are close. A total stranger, if a total stranger offends you, it is easier to let go because for whatever reason you don't even have anything to do with that person in the first place. So it is not even an issue.
That's
So
all.
usually unforgiveness is an issue of close relationship. And so if you don't now forgive, that now takes up space in your heart. Space that you would use to do a lot of other things.
Good things, yeah.
It now takes up that space. Now, the second part of forgiveness is this. Forgiveness is actually an expression of faith.
Yeah.
Is an expression of faith. And if it's an expression of faith, it means that forgiveness is an act of worship.
Wow, taking us deeper.
Forgiveness is an act of worship. How is it an act of worship? Scripture says that you be perfect as your Father is perfect. The word perfect there means mature. You grow up because your father is a grown person, and you are to reflect your father.
Yeah, yeah.
So you cannot the second side of it is that you cannot afford not to forgive because it is an act of worship and it is an act of faith.
Yeah.
How is it an act of faith? The Bible says that in Hebrews, anything that is not done in faith is a sin. So automatically, unforgiveness is a sin.
It is.
And when you continue in sin, what happens? You begin to sever your relationship with your father. That's a bit deep, right? That's a bit deep because it is deep because nothing should come in between you and your father. Nothing. not even something as small as unforgiveness. Because if you look at the ranking of things, unforgiveness is actually a small matter. Because once we begin to possess the mind of Christ, you will see that unforgiveness is not something that we should allow near us.
At all. At all. At all.
For the purpose of time, let's go to guilt. Guilt is a form of unforgiveness to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you have not forgiven yourself, you now feel guilt.
Guys, let's tap on our screens. Please, let's tap on the screen.
The danger of guilt is this. Guilt automatically stops you in the place of communion. It automatically stops you. Because the Bible says that he that must come must believe that he is.
Yes.
And so when you go, what now happens is that the devil will sponsor that guilt, so that you are not able to give yourself completely in the place of worship. And when I mean worship, I don't mean that maybe you are singing, you are trying to sing songs of what. We're talking about your entire life as a means of worship, your entire life. So guilt will not now allow you to freely worship. And the Bible says to come boldly
into his presence. Yeah.
before the throne to obtain what? Mercy.
Yeah.
Grace.
Yes.
And so you cannot go there because guilt will not allow it. So no matter what you have done, even in the area of sin, in fact, unforgiveness is a sin in the first place. So it is not just as long as it has to do with sin, you must, because God has forgiven you. Before that sin was ever committed, he forgave you.
Oh yes.
What you do is receive that forgiveness. So once you must now be a student of, for lack of a better terminology, a student of the reception of God's forgiveness.
Yeah. Yes,
He
indeed.
has forgiven you. So the next thing is that you must now forgive yourself. If your Creator has forgiven you, how dare you not forgive yourself? But it's difficult to forgive. It's difficult to forgive. That's because you are not even engaging the Holy Spirit.
That's hard.
You see, when you engage the Holy Spirit, forgiveness is easier than you think.
The grace will cover. The grace is more.
The grace will show up.
Yeah.
Divine enablement will come, and you will be able to forgive yourself.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you.
So that's basically it. You must forgive others. You must forgive yourself so that the guilt can go away. And then freedom to worship and freedom to relate will come back. As for others, as for forgiving others and saying, okay, you must not let them back into your circle, leave that. You see, one of the things I've learned so quickly in this few days is that let the Holy Spirit determine how you relate with people. You can have all round up. Jesus had 12 disciples. Out of that 12, he had 3. Out of the 3, he had 1. When you count the entire number of disciples Jesus had at ascension, they were 120. And yet there was one called John the Beloved. So let the Holy Spirit direct your relationships, and you will see that a lot of things become easy for you to handle. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor, for shedding that, insight to us. One thing about inside, with FunmiRoyal is that everyone is catered for. I mean, imagine joining this platform now, you're a believer, you've heard from Pastor. In fact, you're just taking me back to Sunday school. So even if you're not a believer, I mean, you're human, you carry guilt for whatever reasons, and you can always deal with that. So thank you for taking us deep into that place. Perhaps a believer is listening and they're struggling, that is the apt word for you now. Don't just ignore what the Holy Spirit is telling you for the believer out there. And for those who
Sorry,
might say,
see, sorry,
yeah,
finally, for the
yeah,
believer, for the believer, one
okay,
thing you must know, is that the devil will target you with unforgiveness. He will target you because he knows that forgiveness and love is the very fabric that makes God.
yeah, yeah,
And you have been created in the direct image of God. The easiest thing that can break fellowship is unforgiveness. Not even fornication, adultery, and all. The easiest is unforgiveness. So he will target you. So you must shield yourself. You must pick up the armor of God and shield your heart.
yes,
He says
indeed.
to protect your heart because out of it will flow the issues of life. So you must protect your heart. And you cannot do it without the ministry of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the one that will help you shield your heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. One thing I always say, I mean, as a believer myself, is you have to be Holy Ghost catered. You have to be Holy Ghost catered. That's my word for any believer out there. And if you're not a believer, you have a conscience, like I say, you have an intuition that is saying you have wronged this person, and you start losing your peace. Don't ignore that intuition, what it's telling you. Check yourself, reflect on it. Check the source of that feeling guilty. What is it? And make amends so you don't lose your sleep as well. So this relates to us, whether we're believers or non-believer. We're human. We're not perfect. Even the so-called believer who has grace and all of that, they still err before God. What do? We say, come and repent. But it says, if I regard iniquity in my heart, the Lord will not hear. So you want God to hear your prayers. So that guilt you're carrying, go before God and drop it there. For that person who is not a believer, that feeling, that intuition, that conscience is telling you something is wrong. Don't just ignore it. Soph, you're raising your hand. I'm going to come to you, but I just want the people that have not spoken to speak. And guys, like I say, I know the time has shifted, so it's meant to be a 2-hour program. But because of my goal up there, I said if I can reach my target, I would extend it. So today being the first day we're streaming from 8 p.m. I probably will stay till 10:30. And please bear with us. It's just so that we all can learn deeply, because I want somebody, or I need people to be able to sleep well tonight, because they have self-checked themselves and they've acknowledged this guilt and they've said to themselves they will make amends, so they will sleep well tonight. So it's always good when we share this, because it's a heavy talk. You can't just go into every space and talk about certain talks, but like I always say, I dare to bring them here. Let's talk about this. Others can learn. I'm learning as well. So thank you all so much for your contribution so far. So we'll push it further for just half an hour today. Soph, I will come back to you, but I want to hear from Inyax. I hope that's how to pronounce the name, Inyax. Thanks for joining. How are you today? Let's hear from you tonight.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening. You're welcome.
No, yeah, thank you very much. Maybe I should say that first and foremost, the human condition. Yeah, I'll call it that, the human condition. You see, it is a global problem
Oh, tell me.
because whether whatever faith you follow, whatever country you live in, whatever tribe or nationality you come from, but human condition, it's a problem, And then it's amazing that in this technological age that we're living in, everyone seems to have found a way to deal with it. Everyone comes with, hey, there's a breakthrough in psychology, there's a breakthrough in the medical field that, what, we can deal with the human condition. But now, even if we were not to be too spiritual, because sometimes, unfortunately, the core sources or the core truths of why things
Yeah, why
why
play
things
as
go
a
wrong.
same on Kodu?
Sorry. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Why things go so wrong is that the origins can only be found with God. God has the answers, and sometimes we as Christians, we come off as people who know better or who know too much, only to find out that we just have the accurate information as to where it began from. Because before we can try to diagnose or dissect unforgiveness or even guilt, we must first understand that everything has its origin. And once you understand,
The source,
once you understand how the source was contaminated into producing the kind of the human condition we are suffering, then it's going to be better. Or rather, at least we will find a way forward. So now, of course, not wanting to dwell too long into it, I just wanted to breeze through that so that we can actually talk about the issue of the human condition in a form of guilt and unforgiveness. Today in the morning, when I took my second born to school, I randomly approached a woman I don't know, and I just told her, "Ma'am, I know I don't know you. I'm sorry for crowding your space, but I just need to tell you that, you know what? Today, make sure that you forgive everyone who has ever offended you." I don't know where it came from. I guess maybe it was God who impressed it. And then immediately her face went from being, "Hey, you stranger, what are you doing?" to being welcoming and to wanting to listen to me. I was like, "No, what? I don't have too many things to tell you, but something tells me to tell you that start forgiving and forgive fast." Because, and then I went on to say that you even have to go to a level where you forgive people, even if they did not come to say, "I'm sorry" to you. That's the highest level. And then that's why we are struggling today with issues like unforgiveness. We want people to come and prostrate themselves before us. We want them to bow down before us and say, "You know what, I'm sorry, I understand," whatever. But this is not the nature of the fallen world. In this world that we're living in, everyone is for himself or herself.
That may pertain to some culture. That's how to ask,
Yes.
especially maybe it's between an elderly person and a younger person.
That's true, and you begin to realize that we're living in a fallen world, and then that is dominated by a lot of standards that do not even allow us to be equal or to see each other the same way. For instance, your boss at work offends you in the context of work, offends you in a huge way, and then because of his seniority, does not see a need to say, "You know what, Funmi, I'm sorry about yesterday's report. It was wrong. I think I said it." He will never say that. Tomorrow he will continue with his job being the CEO and won't give a damn about you. You're just an underling. You see, we talk about such stuff, but I've realized that I like what Pastor said, and I think that's something that I would underline or pack in concerning unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is a breaker of fellowship. It's a destroyer of relationships, and it destroys them effortlessly. Right now, you can imagine people that are in their 30s, mid 30s, 40s. They even in the late 20s, the divorce rate between them is staggering.
My goodness.
You know, because and then you look at our parents and our grandparents, and you find that your grandparents have been living together for 60 years, and you'll be like, what is the formula?
Exactly.
How did they do that? And then when you trace the roots and you sit down with them, they'll tell you that, you know what, he has had his flaws. Maybe your grandfather has cheated on me a couple of times, but I have to come to a point of forgiving him because that's the only thing. So now, let me close it this way in terms of forgiveness. Forgiveness it's actually a mechanism that we've been given by the heavens to deal with every kind of offense. Even the worst kind of offenses can only be dealt with by forgiveness. And it's like, I forgive. Why? And then why do I say that? It is because the very person that we call the Creator had to forgive us when we were in a state of rebellion, of not wanting him, of rejecting. He forgave us while we did not even consider him to be anything to us. So now this becomes a principle, but because we are human and we like gratification, self-gratification, we like glory, we want to twist this principle to fit our own opinions and to fit our own preferences. And that's why our relationships are suffering. We are suffering in work relationships, home relationships, societal relationships. We are suffering in all of them because we don't want to forgive the right way. Because forgiveness, look at the opposite of it. When you forgive, you are immediately released. You become liberated. But unforgiveness, it's a prison. You become locked. You become behind bars. And you want, and here's the saddest thing is you become locked while the key is in your pocket. It's not like the key is thrown away. You are behind bars and the key to unlocking them is just in your pocket, but you will not consider it because there's an element of arrogance, there's an element of self-righteousness, there's an element of self-importance. You know what? Yeah, if people do not meet my standard, I will not forgive them. Just imagine. And then here we are. The very same spirit is even destroying churches. It's destroying ministries. It's destroying countries. It's destroying governments because we are in that level that, you know what, if somebody does not meet my standard of expectation, then no forgiveness. All right, now, lastly, when we attend to the issue of guilt, guilt is a nasty one too, because guilt has a way of destroying you silently. While when we look at you outwardly, you look as if you're okay, but inwardly you're tormented.
That's dangerous.
Daily. It's dangerous because guilt can push a person to being psychotic. You could literally lose your mind.
Depression, of course.
Yeah, depression. You can go mad. You can even kill yourself because of the immense weight of guilt, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So now, again, we have been given a system of dealing with guilt because, and the system of dealing with guilt is forgiveness. Because if you begin to appreciate what forgiveness does, then you will start applying to yourself. We always say in our Christian what you call meetings that, you know what, God has given us power to prophesy. And then you can even prophesy yourself. But funny enough, people don't even believe that they can actually rid themselves of guilt by just forgiving themselves. You know, they don't even They
We
don't even
suffer, we
contemplate it.
suffer for no reason. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
most times.
suffering and suffering and suffering and suffering, and then I love. I think maybe it's gonna be my last point with what you said.
Okay,
There's something
thank
that I picked
you.
up. Yeah, there's something that I picked up that you said earlier on, that there is a good kind of guilt and a bad kind of guilt. And initially, you see how human beings are. Initially, I was like, in my mind, hi, is there such a thing? No, for me must be making things up. And immediately it was unfolded in my mind that there is a guilt that leads you in straight into the arms of God. And that's a good kind of guilt. Because it leads you to change, and then after you have changed, you're no longer guilty.
Yeah, yeah.
And then at the same time, we have to look at this way. I think our level of being too conscious of ourselves and being too deep into the pocket of our emotions, it has caused us to believe that we can manage guilt. It's unmanageable. You can't manage guilt. Guilt is something that must be blotted out of your system. You cannot keep it in check and say, no, I'll self-medicate. Like I'll just pop pills and I'll
That's
be
even more
okay.
deadly. It's
Yeah,
more
it's
deadly.
no. Yeah, it's more deadly because another thing,
Yeah.
guilt is a limiter. It will limit you in every sense. Every potential that we have, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, even financially. Guilt will just draw the line and you will not cross it. Because we're like, I know that I'm guilty. If I cross this line, I'll even be more guilty. So I'd rather stop here. So it has that element of limitation. It limits you. It limits you in terms of relating with people, being open, being honest, being vulnerable. Because I used to suffer it. I used to believe that being sorry and being pitiful and being guilt ridden is the way to go. And then until it almost destroyed my marriage, and I realized that no. I need help, and I need help fast. But in all essence, the truth is that guilt is not good, but God has made some kind of a grace and a mercy that there is a certain level that can push you to Him so that it can be dealt with. But
Yes.
at the same time, again, we have how can I put it? We have lost the initiative or the essence of being responsible. Yes, that's the word. Of being responsible and accountable to our actions. Whenever we blunder, we always want to blame it on something else. We always want to blame it on something else. But there's something that God has given human beings. God has given human beings an ability to choose.
Yeah.
And because He has given us an ability to choose, our ability to choose comes with two things: accountability and responsibility. So every day of our lives, we ought to be mindful, to be careful of what do we decide to say with our mouth? What do we decide to think? What do we decide to feel? What do we decide to do in private or in public? Because at the end of the day, we're going to have to be held accountable. We're going to have to be responsible. Because sometimes you'll be going through stuff, you'll blame the devil, only to find out that no, you're just reaping the rewards of your decisions that were made foolishly.
Yeah.
Because we are human beings. Sometimes we are struck with foolishness, and sometimes we are struck with immaturity and stuff like that. Because not everything is essentially an issue of being born of evil, hey, demons here, whatever. Sometimes we suffer things like guilt because of not wanting to change our what we call our patterns, our patterns of behavior, our patterns of thinking. We are afraid of changing, or of saying, you know what, I used to be this kind of person, but I no longer want to be this. I need to grow and be. We're afraid of challenges and we're afraid of responsibility. And because of that, we end up being victims of our own self-guilt. And sometimes we think that taking portions of that guilt and projecting them to other people is going to help us manage it, only to find that it will grow, it will poison us, and eventually it will kill our joy of life. It will kill our aspirations to become better people, to chase after our dreams and be better people. But Funmi, thank you very much. But I just wanted to share that with everyone, that you know what, forgiveness probably it is the most powerful yet the most underrated of gifts that God has ever given to man. And then guilt is probably one of the most overrated things. We overrate it too much. We give it too much importance, only to find that no, it does not deserve such. We need to come to a point of when something has gone wrong, admit it, take charge and take ownership of it, and then forget it. Somebody said to me, I am willing to forgive, but I am not God. I cannot forget. And I said, that's wrong, because that's not exactly what the scriptures teach. If God has set a standard, if the standard is God, then we have to act like him. We have to forgive and go as far as forgetting, because that is the fiber of maintaining relationships. Because life is about relationship. Everything here relates with something. There is nothing that exists in itself. Everything is connected to everything. So no man is an island, no woman is an island, and then because of that, we find ourselves trapped in stuff. But otherwise, let us endeavor to do better. Let us endeavor to be honest and say, you know what, I know I'm wrong about something. How can I go on about it to fix it? How can I go on? Because even what I said, I don't believe it, but I realize that it's the truth. Until you come to the highest level of forgiving a person, even when they don't come to say I'm sorry, then I'm telling you, you're gonna live a life that is fruitful, and live a life that is worry-free, and you're gonna wear a smile, because you know that you do not owe anybody anything, but except to love them, to forgive them, and to tolerate them and give them another chance.
Thank you.
Thank you for me.
Thank you. Wow, I think I am full. My goodness. Wow, 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 wow. To all the contributions. In fact, it's amazing. You guys took it another level, and I really appreciate that. Because to every topic like this, it's broad, like somebody said earlier, and I'm so glad that we're touching every aspect of it, because you don't know what particular situation each person is dealing with or going through in terms of this guilt. And I so appreciate how everybody has given their submission to different angles, to different submission. And I see that the topic is guilt, and it's come with humility. Again, somebody said forgiveness. Somebody said not allowing pride. We just kind of expanded it just so we have a better understanding. And why are we going through all this, talking about this? Is so that we can live life enjoyably as God would have us do. No unnecessary guilt, whether healthy guilt or unhealthy one. You need to check yourself. You have a choice to make. I'll crack a joke here before I come to Onoye. Thank you so much for your patience. I really, really appreciate you. Somebody said on the day of judgment or whatever, the devil will stand, you will stand, God will stand. And then you will say some things, the devil will say, no, that wasn't me. It was you by yourself, for yourself. You did that. So imagine, we like to blame people for whatever sometimes, instead of us sitting down and critically looking at the source, just like my dear friend just said here. Look at the source, how this thing came about to be. Then make a choice to either, because of that guilt you're feeling, you can't sleep, it's depressing you, it's even reaching to insomnia, it's reaching to anxiety and all. No, we don't want that. There's no way you can function normally when this is what you're dealing with. So why not just sit down and open that space for yourself to process things. How did I get here? Why is it that I'm losing sleep? Why am I carrying all of this? So you cannot be in denial and think it will go away. This emotion, if you don't deal with it, it would deal with you. And that's how I can put it. So, Onoye, thanks for your patience. You're welcome to Insight today. Please, let's hear from you. Minding that we have just 5 minutes to go. Thank you so much.
So we believe
It's been a while.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I don't want to disturb anyone. We should start dragging Bible, but
Oh,
they
no, no,
always
no.
they always spoken well, good use of English and sweet English and grammars, and it's all good. But let's shake the table a little bit. Let's go to the reality. If we keep it talking of forgiveness and then we're putting God in the equation of forgiveness, does God really forgive? Let's start from Genesis. When
Okay.
God called unto Abraham, when God called unto Adam, Adam, where are you? The man
But
says he's naked.
mind you, you have to link it to this guilt we're
I
talking
will,
about.
I will. At least it's forgiveness and guilt now, isn't it?
No, the title, I mean, the topic is guilt, but it has expanded to all of these things you're hearing from people.
Yeah, I
So
want
we're
us to
not
go. Yeah,
picking,
I know. Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. I'll do the guilt and forgiveness together at the same time. No,
Okay. All right.
because it's 5 minutes,
Thank
so
you.
I just rush
Okay.
it. So if we
Thank
talk
you.
about forgiveness, we should forgive, we should forgive. First of all, forgiveness is not in the equation of anyone to be prosper, but forgiveness is in the equation. It can tarnish you. Now, the person that refused to forgive you, he might use that unforgiveness to punish you for you not to prosper. But
Wow.
sometimes it's not meaning in all the cases. It just depends. Let's look at a simple example from Saul and David. When David walked away from Saul and he said, I forgive you, but I just want to go my way. Does that stop anything? No. Everybody still prosper their ways. Just like the other gentleman used in the aspect of your boss at work. Your boss might refuse to forgive you, even insult you, refuse to do anything, he apologize to you, you refuse to forgive the boss. Would that make them drop the boss from his position? No. The boss still holds
No.
his position. The CEO still holds his position. Nothing will change. So it does not stop any individual not to prosper, but it varies on different people. Now, if
Yeah.
we go to the other side of forgiveness, when the voice of the Lord moved in the Garden of Eden and say, Adam, where are you? The man said, I'm naked. Then the voice said, who said to you, or have you eaten the food that I said you shouldn't eat? And he said, oh, the woman gave it to me. That question was not replied back. When the man said, the woman you gave to me, that question was not replied back, was not answered back to Adam, but rather the voice moved down to the woman Eve. What have you done? And then punishment was given. One, they were taken out of the Garden of Eden, and then the other fruit that it says this one is a fruit to salvation. That fruit was blocked with the sword twisting around. That fruit was blocked. So they did not have the opportunity to go and grab that fruit of salvation to eat anymore. It was blocked. And they were taken out of the Garden of Eden. And then punishment was served unto them. You, the woman, you shall bear your kids through labor, and you, the man, you shall till the ground. Is there forgiveness in that place now? The Lord did not forgive there. And there was a punishment that being portioned to them for the disobedience. Punishments were given to them, and they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. So if we started begin to align, God is always forgive. There are people who will still bring you to some place. I say, okay, prove the forgiveness here for me. Where is it there? It was kicked out. Punishment was given. Okay, so most of the time, the way we tend to preach forgiveness, we think if you do this forgiveness, it might not make the next person prosper. No, anytime, every time when God even forgives somebody, it's for the benefit of that person, for that person to prosper, but not in the other case of the other person. It's not in the reverse case. I might forgive you for you to go forward, being prosper, not for me myself that is forgive for me to be prosper. So, but the thing I agree on humility. Humility can open doors to everybody.
Yeah.
Humility open doors to everybody, but forgiveness is not for everybody. It depends on where you're coming from. That forgiveness will prosper you. But in some cases, someone forgive you will not prosper you. You're good already. And if you don't forgive anybody, you're still good to go. It's not an equation of prosperity generally. Then guilt. Not everybody feel guilt because not everybody can rightly divide the truth. Not everybody can see that they actually offend you. Not everybody can see that they've actually offended you. They might even be on their own rights, and then you see that it's been offend to yourself. So for the fact that not everybody can actually see guilt, So it makes some people they can never live with guilt. They will live freely without even know that they do anything to you. But why you yourself, you be killing yourself right there. Now, even though the person actually know that he forgive you, that he offended you, and the person refused to forgive you after you approach the person, now are you going to live with guilt because of the person did not forgive you? If you go that you don't understand anything about life then, because if you go home start grumbling, oh, he offended me, I approach him, he know that he offended me, it's easy to say sorry, and then you go home, you start killing yourself. So you being guilt for someone not forgiving you, that the person rightly offended you, and the person refused to forgive you, and then you go home start grumbling, you're killing yourself.
Yeah, which
So there's
is
no
not
point
healthy.
feeling, yeah, so there's no point feeling such a guilt. But in the other side of the guilt, when you actually did this thing wrong, some people still will not still feel it, but some will feel it. They say, oh, I feel this person. I cannot come before this person. No, no, no. You're also still doing yourself. And the last speaker also is talks about that era. You're also still doing yourself.
Yeah.
So the best thing, there is no point living in guilt because at the end of the day, the person might not even understand what you're going through. So if you're living in guilt, you're killing yourself actually. You're killing yourself. So a lot of people who understand this, just like let me use Pharaoh for example. Pharaoh did not feel any guilt for whatever he's doing to the children of Israel. Rather, he keep even putting more pressure. He even keep putting more pressure because he's not seeing anything that he's doing. And even rightly, he said them, they say, what can you do for yourself? Can you build a bricks? Can you do this? Can you do that? You can't even do anything. So why do you want to go there and suffer? So
Beats me.
even though the man allowed them to go, but the man realized that he cannot do the job. He cannot do the dirty job. So he wants those people to do the dirty job. So he rather inflict them pain for them to come and do the dirty job for him. So some people will not even feel anything like you for whatever they're doing because since it is right to them, they don't even care about you. So my own conclusion in these two angles, forgiveness is not in the equation of prosperity for anybody. If you forgive, it's for even the next person that you're forgiving for the person to be prosper. So there is no way if you did not forgive person, it will clot your brain of progressing. It will clock your mind as if forgiveness is not a matter that occupies space, that will occupy one part of your mind that you could not think or you could not progress. And no, it will not block your brain. It will not block your mind. There are people who live today. Let's make example of Putin, who refused to forgive the West for how many years? How is Putin today? Is not still the world power? Is he part of the world power? So he has nothing to do. But forgiveness, the truth is, you're just forgiving the next person just like God. He forgive you just for you to just, okay, make I live and make it prosper. I just forgive and make it go. Just like the way sometimes the court will forgive some prisoners. After they have committed crime, then you see one new prime minister will come, one new say, just allow this one go. May they go live their life that day, and if they don't see suffer more, they will just leave you and go. Not that forgiving you will stop them not to live their life in full. They will still live the life in full. Why you will still be there in poverty and in penury, you will still be there. So forgiveness is actually for our next neighbor.
And for us too, we have to balance it. It's for us too and our neighbor. I don't know if you were here when I did the earlier bit of my talk. That's why I always put the talk first so that we can expand it, as much as possible. Thank you so much as well. I mean, I see sense in what you're saying, and one thing is for you to carry the guilt. It's for you to do something about. You have to do something about it. Don't just say, "Oh, it's whatever." Even sometimes when you go to ask for forgiveness, the person will say, "I've forgiven you. Okay, I release you in my mind," and then you're still carrying that guilt. That's when I say it's unhealthy because at some point you have to let go. If not, I mean, I don't know who said it. Maybe it was Joy or somebody said it here. Sometimes when this guilt is too much, some people go a bit mental because the way we're wired is different. Some people are so emotional that anything like that, when it's too much, they lose their mind. They lose their mind. Have you seen somebody in chronic depression because they're carrying guilt? You don't want to be around them. And you have to, like I said earlier, as a counselor, I've seen clients many times. By the time we break everything down, we'll look at the source, we'll look at why they're feeling it and all. By the time I break it down for them, they will be like, why have they suffered themselves for so long? And most times I find out that it's not even what they've done wrong. It's somebody else's doing they're feeling guilty because they're connected with this person one way or another. So in essence, what are we saying? We need to acknowledge this guilt. It's not something that will just go away by itself. We need to understand the source of it, and we need to take proactive steps to address it. We cannot push it aside and come back to it. It will disturb us, because it's an emotion that it will just come because something is not right. So if you leave it, if you don't acknowledge it and face it and handle it properly, it will eat deep into you, and then it will start causing sicknesses in your body if care is not taken, because you're not releasing all those the right endorphins or whatever in your system and all of that. It just goes on and on. But we have to put it to an end today. And I want to believe everyone that has listened in has gained and learned one thing. I have learned a lot today, a lot. And I pray that this will help you transform that challenge you're facing, feeling guilt. Sit down and analyze it, and be sure that it's a healthy one that is checking you to do better. Or if you need to go and apologize, as everyone literally has said, humble yourself. If you go to apologize, it doesn't reduce who you are, but rather you will have peace of mind. And that's my hope today, that as many that have listened in, you will do the needful, and then you can have peace of mind and you will not lose your sleep. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I've learned a lot, and I hope you have learned a lot. Till I come your way again on Thursday, by the grace of God, 8 p.m. UK time. Onoye, thank you. Pastor, thank you. Zizi, thank you. Inyax, thank you so much. To Mila for Christ, everyone that has, Ify, all of you that have contributed today, I really, really appreciate you all, and I hope to catch you soon. Good night to you, Pastor. Thank you so much for that in-depth analogy. In fact, really, I'm going to have to watch back and, catch some nuggets again. Thank you so much. Everyone, have a lovely night rest. I'll see you on Thursday. God bless you. Much
Good
love.
night,
Thank you for
all.
the good prayers. Thank you for tapping. Thank you
Bye
for
bye for
sharing.
me.
Thank you for the gifts. God bless you. Have a lovely night rest.
Bye bye.
Bye. Amazing. Let this light that's within me shine to the whole world, whole world. Thank you guys. I really appreciate. Thank you. Much love, everyone. Bring understanding. Yeah, understanding. I hope we get a lot today. Thank you. I'll see you on Thursday. God bless.